Dude, what the is wrong with Bria Hartley? I don't know what is going on with her this season. I don't think this has ever been a thing with Bria Hartley, at least not that I remember, not this often. But it seems like everywhere I look, every time the Sun play, it seems like someone's always fighting on that team. And that person's name is always Bria Hartley. So what is going on with her? She got into it with Rakia Jackson. She got into it with Skylar Diggins when she like shoulder checked her. She got into it with Angel Reese when she pulled her hair. That was probably the most blatant thing. She got ejected in the fight with the Chicago Sky. And then she recently had this injury incident with Sophie Cunningham, which Sophie Cunningham did come out and say that that was not like a malicious incident. But when you have the track record that you do, when you do things like that, people are going to come and be like, oh, this was on purpose. And yeah, Sophie Cunningham said it wasn't on purpose. It was an accident. It was just a game, situation that happens. But like when it's Bria Hartley, when she's had all of these incidents this year, when someone's always yelling at her, when she's always shoulder checking people, when she's always, getting into these arguments, yeah, people are gonna look at it as a malicious thing that you've done. And it's hard to be like, oh yeah, it was an accident, but then you look at who did it and it's like, well, was it an accident? And it's players like Grayson Allen. Remember, he was on Duke and he would trip people all the time, and it was kind of ridiculous. And then when there's an incident that something happens accidentally, like someone trips near him, it's like, oh, they just tripped. And then you see Grayson Allen in the corner and you're like, oh, Grayson Allen must have done it because he's done this in the past. We have Draymond Green, who's also been seen as a dirty player at times. You had Patrick Beverly, who was seen as a dirty player at times. But this seems different because it's like not even from an aggressive standpoint. It's just her being like crazy. The Angel Reese hair pulling incident was the worst in my opinion, because there's no way, like all of these other incidents you could and the ejection, we'll come to that later, but you can always kind of come and be like, oh, this is just a basketball play that happens. You're gonna accidentally fall onto someone. You're gonna probably get into like a shoving kerfuffle. You're gonna be going back and forth. Maybe she was going for the ball with Skylar Diggins, but the hair pulling was insane because I've said before, I am a basketball player and there's never been a time where I have like reached out to grab something. Like that's not a common thing to do. Like even when you grab the ball, you don't like enclose your fist on something. That's such an unnatural thing to do when you're playing basketball. There's no instance where I could see that being an accidental thing that she did. At that time, Angel Reese had like a little braid, so it's not like her finger got caught in the ponytail, or she didn't get her hand caught in some box braids and in a wet and wavy. So no, she grabbed the braid like a piñata stick and pulled her to the ground. And then mind you, the refs are like, oh, common foul. What are you talking about? The refs this season have been already not good. This is the worst I've ever seen the refs of the WNBA, and it makes some of the games borderline unwatchable. To have assessed that as a common foul, were we all watching the same game? I think we were, but the refs didn't see it clearly, and people were going crazy about it. And she didn't even get fined for it either. When you have Sophie Cunningham has been making TikToks or videos or statements about the refs, and she gets fined immediately. Like within seconds of her saying it, the fine is dropping from a package. I don't know if you saw that, like the scene in the Hunger Games when they like drop packages out of the sky, but it's like a bomb. That's literally what they're doing with Sophie Cunningham. They're literally putting a bounty on her head every time she says the word ref. And just the fact that that was not deemed a flagrant foul when it like most definitely was. That's not a basketball play at all, and that's the dirtiest thing you could probably do. That obviously and get away with. And then recently there was the incident where she got ejected when like her and Rebecca Allen and Ariel Atkins all got into it, and it's like, oh, Bria Hartley's there, so clearly she did something. It kind of looked like a mess. I know it was a rebounding battle, but I don't know. Sometimes when like just watching Bria Hartley do things, it looks like she's doing it with malicious intent. There was the thing what she had with the Liberty, and then she was going back in with Natasha Cloud. It's even worse because she does something and then she turns around like like who did that? Was that me that did it? Or she'll turn around and act like she doesn't know that the person's probably gonna try to turn. I know with the rebounding battle thing that happened, she very obviously insinuated insinuated that riot by pushing Rebecca Allen to the ground. Then obviously Ariel Atkins comes to the rescue, and I'm not even mad at Ariel for doing that because that was insane of her to do. And yes, it's Bria Hartley, so yes, there was malicious intent behind it. And it's even worse because Rebecca Allen didn't even have the ball. So why did she do that? It's like, why is Bria Hartley always there, and why does she never get in trouble for it except the one ejection? Because you have to eject players for boxing each other in the middle of the freaking court. So my thing is, what is the issue? And why everywhere you turn, Bria Hartley is the cause of the doom and destruction that's going on? I think it's interesting when leagues have like villainous players like this, but she's doing it the wrong way. Like, you don't need to like hurt players and like pull their hair in dirty ways. Just be an aggressive player, or just like talk your shit and back it up. One of my favorite like villain trope type players in the WNBA is Satu Sabally. Love Satu Sabally because she'll talk her shit. She doesn't have dirty plays, but she's a very aggressive player. She has her little moments where she be fighting back with people on TikTok, and I think it's so funny because then she backs it up with the way she plays too. But Bria Hartley is like a villain, and like every time I see her, I'm just like, she's gonna do something nefarious, so let's just keep an eye on her. I think if Bria Hartley has another incident like this, I think she should be banned for the rest of the season. I'm joking, kind of, but then I'm also like, she's just doing way too much, and it's almost borderline like she's trying to take out everyone in the league so she can win MVP for herself or something. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Bria Hartley. I just don't know what's wrong with her, and I wanted to express my concerns and my like deep disliking that I have for her. She was a really great player. Like, she's not playing bad right now, but I don't know if it's the frustration with being on the Sun and like how much they're losing, which they are losing a lot. Maybe she's just frustrated with how the season's going, or maybe how she's playing. Maybe she has some stuff going on at home. But don't bring it on the court, and stop doing all this dirty shit because it's kind of ridiculous. And the fact that the league has nothing to say about it or nothing to do about it, Kathy, please. Please do something about Bria Hartley. If you're gonna do one thing, Kathy, do this.